Hello everyone, Simon here, welcome back to Monster Hunter Rise. Let's work our way through all the Master Rank hub quests. Right, is that what we're doing? I believe that's what we're doing. Oh, and melding. 6 out of 10 complete for the melding. Can't wait to see what talismans we get, am I right? Ah, the talismans. Absolute power. Hunt the Tigrex. Sure. I mean... So the way... the game... or like game design, let's talk about like... game design philosophy. You want... the base experience to be quite smooth and accessible and just like relatively easy. And so for the average casual player, they, you know, play through the game, it's a fairly solid experience and oh, Blastoad. Hi Blastoad. But they play through the game and everything is smooth. And then, but beyond that, you have some people who just want to play a lot. They're like grinding, like me, completionists, or people who like grinding, or people who are like speedrunners, and they just like play the game a lot. And so for people who want to play the game a lot, then beyond the main story, which by the way, we are, you know, in this game we are hundreds of hours past the main story. The main story is not very long. But then beyond that, there's a lot of other stuff that players can do. And the further you go, the more grindy it becomes, right? So there's like a sort of like a logarithmic relationship between time and progress, if that makes sense. As you play more and more and more and more, it takes longer and longer and longer to progress. And so in this game, the final expression of this, or the final implementation of this, is the talisman grind, the armor crafting, the curio crafting for the armor, and the anomaly ranks. Which talisman grind, it's like RNG based. And the odds of you getting a really good talisman is really low. And so you could like spend hundreds of hunts gathering materials, melting talismans, trying to get a good one. You can do that for like hundreds of hours. And in those hundreds of hours, you don't make very much progress. Like, you spend hundreds of hours to get a talisman that has one extra skill in it. That's kind of what I'm at the point of. Like, that's kind of the point where I'm at. Is like, I'm like melding... I'm gonna meld hundreds of talismans just to get a talisman that lets me fit in one more skill. One more level of skill. But that's fine, because this is like the this is the end game. This is the final part. The final part of Sunbreak. Like, this is basically where the game ends. There's nothing beyond this point. And so the fact that this point is, you know, slow and takes a long time, that's fine, because it's the last bit. What's going on? We pushed the Tigrex into a little alleyway, and then we pushed it back out again. And it's all pretty much out of my control the whole time. He's gonna roar, right? Well, why do you flinch sideways? Well, I should have held it. I don't want to be in an alleyway with a giant Tigrex. Okay, that wasn't what I was... You like maybe just punch you? Oh wow! Okay, I aimed the wrong way, I guess. Stop it. Ah! Oh no. No? We're fine. Oh, get chopped in the head. Great. So you break the arm and it falls down. The arm, I guess it's a leg. Oh, that didn't hit me? I thought I would get stunned. Crap. Oh, let me grab the fiber. Why did that hit me? There you go.
見事な狩猟でした。ミノトも頑張ったわね。今日は3人でご馳走にしましょうか。はい、すでに各所に手配済みです。もう届いている頃かと。
And like back to the game design thing. If you want to just play through the story, it doesn't take you very long at all. Even if you want to hunt one of every monster, it doesn't take you very long at all. So the game is accessible, right? To more casual players, it is highly accessible, and yet, for players who want more, the multi-100-hour grind is there for the players who want more, and it's all just, you know, optional stuff after the story. If you want more, you can do more. So it's great game design is what I'm trying to say. I appreciate the fact that it caters to all sorts of different people. I'm never gonna play without evade distance. Evade extended 2. Ever again. I've just realized it. Evade extended 2 is just too good. I mean, on paper it doesn't give you any more damage, but the fact that you're not getting hit means you're doing more damage. You're not getting knocked back. You're not getting grabbed because you're dodging out of the way. The theoretical meta sets, like the theoretical best sets, is just maximum damage, right? Like, but that's theoretical. Assuming you don't get hits, that's the best damage. Right, but in order to do damage, you cannot be hit. Having said that, it would be nice if I can... Is Blastoise always here? It's not, right? It's random. Garangolm's right there. Should I fight him right away? I feel like I should maybe grab a few spirit birds. Let me be a little bit careful. And from a game development perspective, the grind is actually quite repetitive. There's like a procedural quest generation in the form of anomaly investigations. But the way the game is designed is like, you know, you have different maps, you have different monsters. And it's just, that's just it, like you put different maps on the monster and there's your mission. And everything else is procedural, right? Everything else is generated by the game. And so what I'm trying to say is, they don't have to invest more developer time to make more quests. The quests are just generated by themselves. They just generate themselves. So then they can afford to have essentially an infinite grind without having to cost infinite developer resources. Which is great because there's no such thing as infinite developer resources. If every piece of content requires a developer to handcraft it, then you're not going to get infinite content. Of course, Monster Hunter has been around for a long time. This is, I believe, was it the 5th generation? And each generation has like 2 games or something like that. So it's like 10 games? I don't remember what the exact numbers are. But there's been a lot of Monster Hunter games, and they really have gone from strength to strength. Like, everyone gets better. Every Monster Hunter game gets better. What? Why did I thought it was... And so when I talk about, oh, Monster Hunter has these great game design philosophies, I mean, it's built upon many years of development, right? And honestly, like, not everything works. In this series, I think we've generally come to the conclusion that the rampages were no good. The tower defense stuff. They put that in the base game and then they didn't put it into the ramp. I whiffed it. Alright. I exploded and he died. Very cool. Yeah, so the rampages were not very well received. And then they didn't put any more rampages in Sunbreak. Which I thought, yeah, I'm okay with the rampages. Okay, they're not amazing, but I feel like maybe if they put in some more work, they can make it good, I feel like. Anyway, that's my opinion. But what I'm trying to say is, like, every generation of Monster Hunter games have, you know, they put in new features, and some things are good and some things aren't. But the like Capcom who makes this game, they're like really good at, you know, figuring out which parts work, which parts don't work, and then in the next series or the next game, they'll make sure to like keep the stuff that's good, and then they'll just, you know, forget about the stuff that didn't work. And not every game series can claim to do that consistently. Oh. I won't name any names, but you know, some video game series, they would have like a good formula, but then after a while it'll get stale, and maybe they don't try enough new things, and then oh, people are bored now, they don't want to do anything, they don't want to play anymore because it's the same thing over and over again. Sometimes that happens, and then other times they would say, okay, well, people are getting bored, we will try some new things. And then they try too many new things, and they like drop the things that people enjoy just for the sake of changing it up. So they did, instead of like, okay, keeping the good stuff, ditching the bad stuff, and experimenting with some new ideas, they ditch the good stuff, and then the new ideas don't pan out. So it's a fine balance, is what I'm trying to say. Not every video game series manages to get it right. And it's not an easy thing to do. Oh, and Lunagaron's down. Because a lot of the time, even the players don't know what's good. The people who spend hundreds of hours playing the game, those people don't know what's good about the game. Isn't that crazy? Like, the best example is, everybody always says that the latest Monster Hunter game is too easy. Everybody always says that. When Monster Hunter World came out, people said, oh, Monster Hunter World's too easy. And then when Monster Hunter Rise came out, they said, oh, Monster Hunter Rise is too easy. Except that every time the new game comes out, it's like it does better than the last one. Like Monster Hunter World was super successful, and then now Monster Hunter Rise is also super successful. and they keep making it easier. They do. And by easier, I mean they lower the skill floor. They don't lower the skill ceiling. So if you want to do the hardest stuff, it's still just as hard as before. But they lower the skill floor so that it's more accessible to more players, right? So yes, it is getting easier if you're playing at the skill floor. Like if you're just being bad. If you try to be good, if you're speedrunning the game, it's not any easier than before. The speedrunning stuff is still, like, trying to speedrun the game is still just as hard as before. But if you're like playing casually, yeah, sure, it's getting easier, right? But you know, when you listen to people talk about the game, oh, it's too easy, it's too easy. No, it's not. You're still playing hundreds of hours. Everybody's having a great time. It's not too easy, right? Everyone's having a great time. And this is what I mean when I say, like, the people who play the game themselves don't necessarily understand what's good about the game. Because they'll complain about things, and then they'll spend hundreds of hours playing the thing. And it's like, well, if you're spending that much time playing it, it can't be bad. Why you keep playing it? If you keep playing it, it must be good. Right? They must be doing something right. And that's the thing, like, it's not too easy. It's not too easy. Everybody says it's too easy. Until they keep playing, and because the difficulty keeps ramping up within the game, eventually you hit a point where, okay, this is not easy anymore. I actually need to pay attention now. And then you're fine, and then you're happy, right? You just work your way up the difficulty curve until you get to the point where you're having a good time. That's all it is. But the players, the people who who play the game and talk about it, for a lot of people, it doesn't register. I mean, for some people, for a lot of people, they do understand. But also, a lot of people don't understand. Like, a lot of people will say, oh, this is too easy. No, but think about it. Right, but actually think about how you've been playing the game. You know. So yeah, back to my point is, the fact that the people who make Monster Hunter can figure out what's good and what's not, that's remarkable. To figure out what's good and then to keep doing it. And to figure out what's not good and then to stop doing it. Because if the people who play the game can't really articulate what's good about it, how the hell do you know what's good about it? How would you know? How would anyone know why a game is successful? Yeah, no, but it's like, it's just have to like understand. I guess what you should do is just collect data. Don't trust what people say. Collect data. It's like, figure out what people spend time doing and what they don't spend time doing in the game. And I suppose, I don't know, maybe they do keep the stats because we are online all the time. We are always online. The game's always connected to the internet. I guess they do keep stats, right? And maybe they figure, okay, well, people don't do rampages that much. And so they just drop the rampages in Sunbreak. And you know, regarding like whether the game is too easy, quote unquote too easy, you have data for every hunt. Or I assume Capcom has data for every hunt. How long the hunt takes, right? Right, like every player, how long each player takes to finish a hunt. So they have those stats, and they can divide the players to, you know, low skill, high skill. Just based on like hunting time, how long it takes them to finish the hunt. And so they can adjust the difficulty of the quests with that data. Right, and they have all the stats on completion rate, like did this player finish the story? Did they continue playing? Like did they beat every Elder Dragon? Right, all these stats. If they have these stats, and if they really analyze them and understand them, then they would have a very good idea what's good about the game and what's not good about the game. And again, you can't trust people to tell you, because people themselves don't understand. You have to look at data. I thought I could shield in time. You know, I could probably like go down to the detail of like every single move. Like what attacks are you using? What playstyle are you playing? How many secret cheese combos do you get off in each hunt? Like what is your accuracy with your weapon? How many times do you get hit? Do they collect all this data? I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Oh crap. But I would argue that this sort of data would help them design the game better. And also, you know, with every update, they change the balance. They add new moves, they change existing moves. And I don't think... I never really see people be unhappy about the changes too. Right? Every time they change the stuff, people are like, wow, that's really cool, or like, hey, I really appreciate them improving that particular move so I can use this new playstyle. Okay then, come on. Right, so at worst the feedback is, oh, I wish they buffed my thing too. Right, they would like sometimes not change your weapon, and people would say, oh, I wish they changed this as well. Which is like, it's not that they did anything wrong, it's just that they didn't also do this other thing. But people aren't really sad about it or anything, right? It's just like, oh, I mean, these other things are good. And maybe the variety is important. Because Monster Hunter, there's a lot of different weapons, and now each weapon has like 3 or 4 distinct playstyles. So if one particular playstyle isn't working for you, maybe you just play a different one. And the fact that you have that option maybe means that it's okay if they screw up 1 or 2 things, because there's so many other things for you to do. Maybe that's part of the way they managed to do that. Alright, let's do one more. And then we can get up mounting. Master rank 4-star White Knight Armored Warrior. Barioth Magnamalo. I really like am surprised how good Monster Hunter is. It's just like really good. And it's not like it costs an arm and a leg either, right? They've come up with... Basically each game they release it twice. It used to be, back when this was like on portable handheld consoles and on cartridges, they would have like the base game, and then afterwards they would expand like a remastered version, or but it's not just remastered, but it's basically the expansion. But the expansion is the base game and the expansion together, because you need one cartridge. So, but these days you have like downloadable content. Whack. So you have like Monster Hunter Rise and then Monster Hunter Sunbreak. And the Sunbreak is a full price game. Right? You pay full price for Rise, and then you pay full price for Sunbreak. So it's like 2 full price games, and that's the game. Which, given the amount of content, that's fine. Like nobody's gonna complain about that, because you do get hundreds of hours of content over the course of the 2 games, or like the game and the expansion. Back when it was like on consoles, or on like handheld consoles, so like Monster Hunter 4, for example, there's Monster Hunter 4, which is the original game. And then after a while they released Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, which is Monster Hunter 4 plus the expansion. Although, if I remember right, Monster Hunter 4 was only released in Japan. So if you were overseas, you only got Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, you didn't get Monster Hunter 4, so you could only buy the full thing. You couldn't buy the first half by itself. So that was the model. And maybe the fact that they sell each game twice, maybe that gives them more time, more resources to develop a better game. And also, of course, you know, they release the first half, and you know, every game, or in everything you do, the first time you do it, you're gonna get a few things wrong. And so they have a chance to fix that in the expansion release. Right, so they go back and fix the other version. And maybe the that method of development fail. Maybe that it allows them to build a culture of iterative game development, where you're not just like making a game, selling it, and then it's done. You always like make a game, and then you do the expansion, and then you take what you learn from the expansion, and then you make the next game. And so you're always like, it's like a process where you're constantly refining. Because not a lot of games do that, right? Not a lot of games release one version of it and then release the extended version of it. I didn't hit anything. I didn't hit anything. I'm just talking and not paying attention. And when you're like a game development studio, I guess like the culture is important. And not just the culture, but the workflow is important. Every business has a workflow. A way of doing things, a process of doing things. Oh, come on, why do you sit down? The monsters never fall into my sword. That didn't do much damage though. That only did 1,000 damage. Right, like each studio, they have, you know, revenue coming. Each time they release a game, they have revenue coming in. And then they have a workflow, right, they design, and then the programming, and then so on and so on, the artwork, and the voice acting, and so everything kind of fits together, like all the pieces kind of come together. And once you have like that process, you have the process, and then you have the tools to, you know, to make the process work. And then you have the people who are trained to use the tools. And so if you keep everything together, and if that process, if you can reuse the system, then it's a lot easier to make each game because you're not having to reinvent your process every single time. And I feel like the Monster Hunter games, they're pretty much the same thing every time. But that's only because they have a good process. They've developed a good process and they can use the process to churn out more and more and more games. And the quality of the games are great every time. Anyway, everything builds on everything else, and Monster Hunter really is a success story in that sense. I'm just like thinking to myself, how might someone replicate this sort of success? I think maybe the idea that you release the game twice. Release the game. You get some. You sell the game. You get some funding coming in, and then you can retain the people. Because if you tell your staff, your programmers, your designers, your artists, everyone else, you say, okay, we released the first half of the game, but your job's not over. Like, you still have a job, and you work on the second half of the game, right? And then from that, you have enough money coming in to make the next game. So like people can keep their jobs. It's not like if the studio, they're only making one game, and then the game is not divided into 2 releases. Then everyone is like, okay, then we make the game, or we finished making the game. I guess I have to look for a different job now because the studio isn't making another one. And then everybody leaves the studio. They find a different job, and then you lose all the talents, and then you lose all the people who are trained on your tools and your process. And you have to rehire everyone. So that really stuffs your studio, like having to rehire people, and then have to retrain people, and then to rebuild the process again. You can't do that. So maybe just the idea of releasing the same game twice. Or like releasing the first half, and then releasing the second half. And then retaining everyone. Retaining all your staff. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just talking. Like, what makes Monster Hunter special? very few other games manage to consistently have each game be divided into 2 releases, the base game and the expansion. And the expansion is the same price as the main release, the main game, same price, but the expansion has more content than the main game. Because they build the engine and they build the design, the workflow, and they make a game. And then because the second part, they reuse the same engine, they reuse a lot of the same assets. They like all the textures, all the like models and all the stuff. They reuse a lot of that stuff, and then they just extend it. And so then because they don't have to make a lot of stuff from scratch, they can reuse the stuff. Therefore, they have more resources to make a bigger game. And so the expansion is always bigger than the main game. No other game that I can think of does this. What other video game series does this? None. None. The closest is Bethesda's Fallout series. The Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and I guess Skyrim started working that way. No. Also the Elder Scrolls series, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. It's close. The expansions are not bigger than the main game, unfortunately. The expansions, when you add them all together, is maybe about the same price as the main game. But there's like a lot of expansions. I guess maybe if you add them all together, they can be as big as the main game. Okay, Bethesda kinda does this, but not as well as Capcom does here with Monster Hunter. But I guess it's because they're making like a big open world RPG. Open world RPG, you have to like actually spend time making the world, whereas with Monster Hunter, you like the same maps. There's not that many maps, by the way. The same maps can like be the setting for a lot of hunts. Right? You can just keep adding more and more missions. In fact, you can like procedurally generate infinite number of missions using the existing maps. Like, you don't have to make new maps for the new content. Whereas Bethesda games, Fallout and Elder Scrolls, they do actually have to spend time making more maps. So then their content generation procedure costs them more time and money, and so they can't make as much content with a given amount of money. Anyway, let's stop talking. Let's get back to the game. Melting pot, take talismans. Oh, there's no rarity 10 talismans. There's not even a good one. Look at it, the orange ones. So we have the light blue, the dark blue. The orange ones are the good ones. There's not even a single good one. Can I speak to the manager? Are you the manager? You? Where are the good Don't look at him. Look at me. Where are the good talismans? Crap, 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 crap. I basically don't want anything less than Resentment 4, I think. I don't want Sneak Attack. Crap, crap, crap. So basically anything less than Resentment 3 I don't even look at. If the slots were better, I guess. Crap, 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 crap. Evade window, damn. I need evade distance. Alright, crap. Everything is bad. Actually forgot. Hold on. How many do I have? 1? Oh, I can reuse these, can't I? So I need 10 times 10 is 100. This is 8 times 4. 30, so I need like 3 pages. 1, 2, 3. Nah, okay, let me just go for the vigor. Gonna run out of Shagiri Rice gems. I might have to go back and farm materials. Risen Dragon Thick Blood. A single one of these is a full meld, right? I might just go and farm those things for a while.
Yosh, yaru zo. Iza. Yosh, yaru zo. Iku zo. Yosh, yaru zo.
Alright, 10 more melds. Let me take a break here. When we come back, we continue bullying easy monsters. Alright, see you next time.